As we have been discussing, the Prime Minister has said the UK will seek a new trade agreement with the EU after leaving the single market.
So what does that actually involve? Ben has been talking to a top trade negotiator about what trade talks might actually achieve. What's he been saying, Ben?
Yeah, it's fiendishly complicated to try and negotiate all of these trade deals. And if you think back to the 1970s, that was the last time that we actually negotiated trade ourselves. Since then, it's been done by Brussels on our behalf. So the big question, of course, is what we heard yesterday from Theresa May talking about the freest possible trade with Europe, even though we've left the single market. So I've been speaking to Miriam Gonzalez, who's a top international trade lawyer, and she's been looking at how the process might work. And she said, actually, what we need to do is stop prioritising which industries we think are most important to the UK and what deal they may get. So crucially, she says, the process will take a long time. We begin that process. The divorce proceedings begin, of course, when we trigger Article 50, perhaps at the end of March. We've got 2 years from then to do those deals. She told me she doesn't think we'll be ready in time.
It's important to remember that international trade agreements are about deals. So you give something so that you can take something. The only problem is that it's obviously a very, very technical, with lots of legal details discussion, which has a political context, an economic content, and a legal, technical underpinning. The agreement, for example, between the EU and South Korea is kind of 2,000 or more pages, and it's actually not even a very sophisticated one.
If we're not part of the European Union, not subject to agreeing it with 28 member states, if it's one-on-one, we're negotiating with another country, does that make it easier, much more simple? The
key area of interest for the UK is services. And services is the most difficult bit of the negotiations, because with goods, it's just looking at tariffs. It's a figure up or down, and you just trade the figures in the sectors. On services, it's about the non-tariff barriers, what we call non-tariff barriers, which is the hidden, insidious barriers that mean that you may tell me that I can come to your country freely. Actually, you have put there a license provision or a condition somewhere there on the safety provisions or whatever it is that make it impossible for me to actually have open access to your market. Those are incredibly complex.
Where will trade negotiators come from? Have we got enough in this country to do the job?
The question is the other way round. It is, how many people do we have? And therefore, what can we realistically do? And therefore, what are we going to prioritize? Because ideally in government, you would have limitless resources, but we don't. We are where we are.
Is it the case that there's a mismatch between what we want and what we'll probably get?
I think that we are going to have to compromise between three things. What we want, what we have to get to that, and also what the others are willing to give to us. And yes, at some point I think that there will be a reality check.
So assuming we trigger Article 50 at the end of March, we then have 2 years to negotiate. How hopeful are you that deals will be in place at the end of those 2 years?
The likelihood that at the end of 2 years the UK will have a fully fledged, sophisticated agreement with the European Union, and also agreements or the beginning of agreements with various third countries is very low.
So it was Miriam Gonzalez speaking to me about the complexity of the deals, and it's worth bearing in mind that the trade deal that Canada has just signed with the European Union took 7 years to negotiate, and it's not yet a done deal. But we should say, on the other hand, this could mean that we start looking elsewhere. It could be good for trade deals with places like India, China, the United States. So clearly there is a lot of work to do. There's a lot of negotiation starting to take place. We can only begin that negotiation when we trigger Article 50. So those 2 years will be crucial, and they could shape what relationship we have with Europe from now on.
You've seen that 7 years to get a trade deal with Canada and the EU. So
really complicated,
okay,
and it's all about toing and froing. We'll give you this if you give us that, and it's all that negotiation that could take a long time. And the big question, do we have the right people to do it? And if not, are we getting the skills that we need to do that negotiation?
So many questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Ben.
Thank you.